Hi, it's a pleasure to be here with you to discuss the future of work. I am Farmer Samson Ogbole, and in the next couple of minutes, we'll be looking at the work opportunities of the future. You would agree with me that a whole lot of things are changing gradually on a daily basis, and the way we work also is going to change. Now, before we start, I would like to take a few seconds to define what work is and what a job is, because remember, we are looking at the work opportunities of the future, the work opportunities of the future. Now, work is an opportunity to create value. Anything of value that you can create, anything of value that you can create. While when we talk about a job, we are looking at a profession. So you work within a profession. You can also work outside the profession. So what we are concerned about is that creation of value, that work itself. How is it going to change going forward? Now, for this to make sense, it will probably make a whole lot of sense to look back a bit. You would agree with me, for those of us from the older generation, that before now it was an in thing to know how to do your whole letter writing, how to address an envelope and all of that. It was a big boy thing to have a landline and all of that. But today you would agree that a whole lot has changed in that realm. In transportation, there was a time that the donkeys and co were the big boys. In short, in less than 20 years ago, the big boys car was the Peugeot 504, 505, 30, no, not even the 305, 504, 505 kind of cars. The Volkswagen were like the big boys cars. But today, a whole lot has changed. Now, same is going to happen in our work atmosphere, and it's important that we understand how work is going to change, because right now you might be in school studying one course or the other, from mechanical engineering to medicine to pharmacy and all of that. But it's important to know this course that I am reading, what is the value proposition of this course as it relates to the future of the profession that I want to come into. I hope that makes sense. So it's not just about what am I studying in school, it's a question of what is the value proposition, what is the value that this thing is meant to provide, what role do I play in the value that this thing is meant to provide in my chosen profession. So for example, I can be studying medicine. I can be studying medicine with the mindset of becoming an orthopedic surgeon or becoming a gynecologist and all of that, which is beautiful. But the question is, with technology coming into play, what will be my value? What will be my value in this profession? Now, as a general rule, I always say this, that look at the work that you are doing today. Take a time to examine the profession that you are in and ask yourself, in this my chosen profession right now, this profession that I am in right now, what part of this work requires the same monotonous activity, meaning requires me to do the same thing day in, day out? What I do today is what I do tomorrow. What I do tomorrow is what I'm doing next tomorrow. If you can figure out those things that requires same activities day in, day out, you may have just figured out the job that a machine would probably play, the role that a machine can probably play in the future. And if I understand the role that the machine might play in the future, I can start asking myself, how do I position my work so that when the machines rise to do this work, especially if I am not the one building these machines. How do I position myself to ensure that when the machines rise to start doing this work, I am still available? There is still a gap for me to provide value beyond mechanical works, beyond, in quotes, the muyiwa, do this, do this, do this, do this. I hope that makes sense. Now, in looking at the future of work, there are 4 key areas that we are going to look at as we look towards 2030 and beyond. The first one is, now, this future of work has been defined using colors. So as we look at the future of work, or the work opportunity for the future, the work opportunities have been defined using colors. And it's important that we understand how jobs will change so that we understand the opportunities we can plug in. So the number one is what is called the red world. Now, in the red world, there is the belief that we are going to have a whole lot of smaller companies emerging and doing well because they will be able to plug into the cloud, plug into the internet to do a whole lot, which means in this area, I can be a small company in Ogun as a farmer producing just something small, but I'm able to plug into the clouds to get the amount of nutrient that I need per time. Somebody else in Ogbomoso is doing something small, so we do not need to be a giant cooperative organization to be able to do so much. This is one area work is going to change. A whole lot of people doing small things in their little capacity, taking advantage of better connectivity, better connections. Number 2 is the blue world. In the blue world, we are seeing a world where the larger corporations will come together to form mega corporations. We are already seeing that happening. There is hardly a quarter where you do not hear one corporation merging with another corporation. So this means that the bigger organizations are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the reason for this is the bigger organizations understand that there are many smaller emerging corporations, so they need to consolidate their efforts to ensure they keep increasing their profit margin so that they can drop the price for a way to push out the smaller organization. Number 3 is what we call the green world. With the impact of climate change, everybody is looking for how to be okay, not everybody, some developed worlds are looking for how to be better climate smart. And what this also means is we are going to have an economy or a set of economy, a part of our economy built around this green world, where everything that we are going to be doing will be centered around not just providing value, but providing value in a way that ensures greenery, that ensures that it is climate smart. Then the last part is what we call the yellow world. Now, the yellow world is a world where you have people who are looking for relevance, who are looking for a place of fulfillment. So it's a world where you have people at work who are here because they want to get fulfillment. So it's not about creating little jobs, it's not just about creating a green environment or creating mega corporations, but where they find meaning to their life, where they find relevance. Now, having said that, it's also important I discuss briefly how the workplace will change going forward, because you need to know how where you are going to work will change so that you can better position yourself for the opportunities of the future. So if, for example, I am coming to fellowship tomorrow, or on Sunday, I want to come to church on Sunday, and I do not know that on Sunday, Pastor Tolu has made an announcement that, oh, on Sunday, because it's a unique kind of service, all the ACs will be at maybe 4 degrees, which is super freezing. Now, if I do not know that, I will not be properly prepared when I am coming to church. So I may come to church with my whole looking yoppy and singlet and all, but by the time I enter church, I am super cold. And because I am super cold, I am uncomfortable throughout service. Now, For us to prepare well for work opportunities of the future, we need to understand how the work environment is going to change going forward. Now, one of the first things that will change is places of work. Places of work. And this has never been better pushed forward or better accelerated than the COVID-19 era. The whole COVID-19 era, one of the things it did basically was to jumpstart the conversation that you do not need to come to a confined area to work. We do not need to come to a confined space to get jobs done. And a whole lot of these will still continue in the future, even post COVID-19. From your banking sector, it will get to a time. Let me give an example. You can withdraw, pay in, and do a whole lot of bank transactions on an ATM machine without having to interact with a banker. In the future, that is going to become more and more and more, because as companies understand the reason for interaction between themselves and their clients, you would realize that because these interactions are monotonous, they are the same thing every time, every year, every week, machines will be created to act as that interface. So it means that the people behind the scene, their place of work would have to change to reflect the new reality. Number two, we are going to have, like I said before, smaller organizations. We are going to have smaller organizations and a whole lot of outsourcing. So the question you need to start asking yourself is, in this course that I am doing, is it a kind of job that can be outsourced? Is it a kind of work that can be outsourced? An example, HR. Because if it can be outsourced, it means that the mega corporations will not have you inside them. So are you already thinking of how you can create that value but in a different way for your clients? Number three, in the future of work, we are going to have less hierarchy. So all these ones that you have, founder, co-founder, COO, CEO, head of admin, head of these and all of these, they will be distilled downwards, such that we are going to have a much more flatter structure or a much more horizontal structure, as opposed to a vertical structure that you have a whole lot of hierarchies. Because a lot of people now would have that independence at workplace. And what this essentially means is, as an individual, you must be able to properly manage yourself in time. Because the time will not change because you are not able to manage yourself. The second will count, the minute will count. So we must get to a point where we start looking at, do we have proper self-management, time management, managing ourselves within allocated time. Next, we are going to have work that are centered around better wellness of the individuals at work. So it will not just be work as usual, especially for those of us that want to become CEOs in the future. It will not just be work as usual, no. It will not become a thing of how healthy is the environment for your staff, for the few that have to come in. Is there good lighting? Do you have relaxation centers? Do you have sleeping rooms? Is there a place for them to get music? Can they come with their pets? Are there pets around the environment? Do you have greenery around the environment? The total wellness of the people. Because remember, like I said before, because most of these activities that are the same every day are being taken over by machines, it means that the few people who remain in the workplace are going to be doing more of mental work. So because they are doing more of mental work, it will become paramount to ensure that their stress level is reduced as much as possible. Next, we are going to have flexible floor plans. So rather than have a workplace where you say this is office for A, office for B, office for C and D, for those of us that are so much in love with privacy, you are going to be having work areas where you are able to move your stuff around. Not this is your cubicle, stay here, you can't leave here. No, it will become much more flexible. Then our traditional desk will disappear, because some people can work on the go, some people can work on their tablets and all of that. Next, AI is going to start to play a huge role. As we are going to start, some of us will start having robot assistants. You are a medical doctor in Nigeria, but you have somebody assisting you online from the UK, the US. So we have smarter brainstorming. Most meetings, like is already happening, like this one we are having right now, we'll be having many meetings going online, many interactions going online. And what this means is, for the comedians, you can no longer say, oh, you cannot crack joke unless you see the people physically. You have to start learning how to crack jokes through an interface like this. For the magicians, you start learning how to do your magic within an interface like this, yet the people on the other side must be wowed, must still feel that presence. I think that makes sense. So the workspace is going to change. So first we said the roles, the job as a whole are changing. Some companies, some smaller companies will emerge more. Some companies will become bigger and bigger. We are going to have companies that are focused on the greenery. Then there are some sectors or companies that will focus on relevance and meaning. That is why they would have those kind of stuff. That is where we started from. Secondly, we looked at how the workspace will change, how the work environment will change. Because once you understand that this is going to change, we can now come back and look at how work itself would change. And it is important that we understand that as we move towards this next age, the future of work, that what will be most relevant is not just the knowledge you have learned or the knowledge you have acquired, but the skills that you have built up. The skills that you have built up. So it's not just about, I know how to perform surgeries. The question is, do you know how to do it skillfully? Do you know how to do it skillfully? Because remember what I said, that those mechanical activities, we are going to have robots and machines that will take over those roles. So if these roles are taken over by robots and machines and their like, then it becomes paramount that as the individual, you start asking yourself, what skill do I still have to bring in? What skills do I have to bring in? So how will work change? We'll look at about 12 major areas that work will change. That's work opportunities would emerge and change and all of that. Number one, we are going to be having a whole lot of virtual shops. I'm not saying online shops this time around, I'm talking about virtual shops. Take for instance, there is a tailor company that I follow in the US or UK, and the way they work is, if I want to sew a cloth with them, I don't need to go and meet them to start measuring and all of that. I just take a picture of myself with their app, and with that they are able to take my exact measurement and make my clothes. So we are going to have more virtual stores. So you are going to have a farm where you want to get something, but you are able to see virtually and pick what you want and have it delivered to you, and you can monitor the whole process. Number two, we are going to have what we call personal data broker, because remember that a whole lot of things are going online. And because of that, a whole lot of our data will become online. And what this simply means is there are going to be opportunities to take this data, take all of this information and make money from it as individuals. So you know everything about me, but it will not just come to you for free. We are going to have organizations who will start in place to try to milk and make money for it from the individuals from whom these data were collected. Next, we are also going to have jobs around medical healthcare, especially around what we call the personal memory curator. Because over time, you are going to realize that they will have better access to our memories, and you will need people that can help you recall these memories accurately. So we are going to have jobs in this area. Of course, we are going to have new jobs around augmented realities. We are going to have new jobs around highway controller. Because this time around, we are not just going to be managing the roads, we'll manage the airspace, manage the blue economy. Blue economy are economies around the riverine bodies. Then we are going to have body part makers. Right now, there is a whole lot of development around. Now they are trying to make kidneys and all of that. And with wars and all of that happening and different diseases, different sicknesses and all of that. It means that we are going to have new job opportunities where you need people who can make new body parts for those who need them. We are going to have nanomedicine transforming the whole healthcare. We are going to have more of GM and recombinant DNA around plants and livestock generally. We are going to have more around caring for the elderly, whether it is as a social worker, as a medical worker, creating architectural buildings that ensures that the elderly are able to access it much more easily, creating technologies, phones, TVs that the elderly can easily use based on their reduced functionality of their limbs. We are going to have what we call memory augmentation surgeons. So it's not just about gynecologists and all of that, but we are going to need surgeons that helps ensure that the memory of the elderly are restored and all of that. Then of course we are going to have new science etiquettes from the lawyers, new legislations, because the reality is, like I always ask people, in Nigeria today, it is a norm to see those guys on black stop you and say, where is your driver's license? Where is your this? Where is your that? Why don't you have so and so? But what happens when we now have more of driverless cars, where you stop a car without a passenger? So we are going to need to have new rules, new legislations to adopt these realities. We are going to have things like space pilots, tour guides, architects. A whole lot of new jobs will start coming up. Now, in all of these things that I have mentioned, what I want you to start thinking of is this course that I am reading. How does it align with the future that is coming? Now, take note that it is not the relevance of the course that ends, but rather how the course provides value in the new age, in the new world, is what is going to change. Take for instance, if we go back 10, 15 years ago, it was pretty normal that if you wanted to get the news, look for a newspaper. That was the norm. But today, when you want to get the news as a young chap, the first thing you do is Google it. You go online to search for what's the latest headline. What did this person say? What did this person say? So you realize that it is not the media itself did not stop existing, but the way the media has to provide that value of news, of information, had to change to align with the new age. So the question is, what skills are you building? There are some top skills that will be important moving forward. Number one, your ability to communicate. You cannot overestimate this in the new world. Your ability to communicate. So as we enter the new world, as I try to round up this talk, what are some of the skills that you need to learn? Number one is what we call cognitive flexibility. With new technologies and new opportunities, new platforms, you must be able to adapt quickly to the new realities that you are going to have to deal with. So cognitive flexibility is one. Number two is what we call digital literacy and computational thinking. I'm trying to rush through. Digital literacy. This is not the time to say you are sending a CV and you are saying you know how to use MS Word. In 2021, if you don't know how to use it, then what are you using? So you need to start looking at what are the new what are the new digital platforms, opportunities, or lessons that you need to pick up quickly? From your social, your mobile, your analytic, your cloud activities, which of these do you know how to use? Your STEM programs generally, all of your science and all of that technology, remember M is mathematics. Which of these do you know how to use? Number 3 or 4, I'm not sure, your judgment and decision making. Because remember we said that we are going to have more of a flatter structure. So your ability to make decisions, your ability to understand proper decision making, your cognitive thinking and all of that will play a key role. Are you developing all of these? Because right now you are in a space where you are probably told to handle something in church or in school or something, What you do not understand is beyond delivering value, you are being trained on how to make decisions. You are being trained on how to think right. You are being trained on how to think as a leader, because in the future, everybody will become a micro leader in their own workspace. Next is what we call emotional and social intelligence. You must be intelligent enough to understand that in the new world, everything is not about you. Excuse me. You must be wise enough to know that everything is not about you in the new world. So you cannot afford to take everything personal. Then the next is what we call the creative and innovative mindset. Your creative and innovative mindset, your ability to think of new things, think outside the box. Think outside the box, regurgitate new things. Yes, you have heard it, but can it be done differently? Can it be done better? Is there another way we can get the job done? You must realize that in the future, people are looking for people that can get things done. Not people that you need to be telling every time, go and do this, go and do this, go and do that, and it becomes a whole lot of monotonous activity. I hope all of this makes sense. So, start right now, look for ways to start developing yourself. Start developing yourself. The future of work, I think there was an advert I saw a while back. I think it was Elon Musk. I can't remember. I think it was on Twitter before it was banned, and they said he needed somebody to do a particular job, and somebody said, I have so and so certificate, does it matter? And he replied, he said, I don't care about the certificate, I just care about getting the work done. So as we round up, look at what you are studying right now. What is the job to be done? What is the job to be done? What is the main activity? What is the main value that your job is meant to do? Question: if machines are created to take charge of the activities that you have to run in and out every day, so you are a pharmacist, I think that's what they are called, the guys that sell drugs over the counter, that dispense drugs. If tomorrow there is a if there is a machine that dispenses drugs, what then is your actual value? What job can you do? What skill are you building that will make you relevant in the new world? What certification are you picking up? What social skill are you picking up? What emotional intelligence are you developing? What self-management are you developing? So that in the new world, you are still ready for new job roles. Today, if you look at the ways that the kind of adverts that we have online for new jobs, you start hearing things like digital expert, cloud management engineer, this engineer. You don't hear the traditional titles anymore. Not because the sector has left, but because the job that needs to be done has changed. Because as machines come into play, automation comes into play, new roles will be formed. And only those who can perform in those roles will remain relevant. I do hope you understand what I tried explaining in the past 30 minutes. Thank you so much for your time. I await your questions.